Can't wait to see the VOD. Oh, yeah, it's going to be a fun one just watching all the violence ensue. Speaking of violence ensuing, let's see what teams want to deploy where. Team 1 in the blue trunks, we got V307, we got Atrocious, we got Benoit, and we got Rocket. Team 2, we've got Notes, we've got Mr. Dapper, we've got the Spy Eye, and we've got Drangy Drang, whoever has spelled that. All right, I'm liking these various names here. We got good old UNSC tags, Spirit of Fire there, Newton's Revenge, our ASR Clear Skies. I believe that is the escort pair that comes with Maple by default. Yep, that's going to be the name of Maple. Maple, a very good fleet to start out with if you want to learn your carrier stuff. At the same time, you can also go on the OSP side and take either Amethyst or I believe it's Wolfenite Squadron has a light carrier, so you can get your feet wet testing the carrier stuff there. Probably have 2 Maples. Might be. It would be very funny if they both had the exact same like fleet prefix and the same build. That would be a nice mind game. So people would say, hey, didn't we kill that one? The ANS Mark the Time? I thought we took that thing out. No, there's another one. Speaking of, we have Mark the Time plus 2 escorts. I believe that is Task Force Birch. So, gonna see some of the default starter fleets here. Starter fleets are good. Anyone who tells you otherwise is delusional. They are curated so that anyone can pick up and play them. And I will be perfectly honest, half the player base that I know would probably be better if we played starter fleets, but that doesn't stop us anyways. Yeah, Birch got a bit of a rework there. I still haven't settled on how I feel about Birch, but Birch is eating good these days. 250 RPF is nothing to sneeze at. Fighters that walk in the range are going to have a very bad time as those dual purpose turrets will just open up with their radio proximity fuse rounds, essentially just sandblasting any fighter that gets within 8 kilometers. All right, let's see the initial deployments. Seeing blue team here kind of distributing themselves a bit evenly, going maybe for some trench runs, maybe some B plays. One ship going for that D point cap. You're going to see on the orange side, we're seeing a bit of the same sort of deployments here, possibly lining up for that trench. We're seeing one going towards E side, UNSC Spirit of Fire. They're just waiting on Mr. Dapper to load up and lock in. We'll go through these fleets as soon as we enter the battle space proper, just waiting for them. Just give them a good old GLHF here. Type it in. So yeah, type it in, count it down. Dapper is good to go. Teams are on comms and coordinating to the best of their abilities, or perhaps the worst of their enemies. We'll find out. All right, taking a look here, we see a 250 Bulker right off the bat. Loving this thing so far. I am a big fan of 250 and 100 mil Bulkers. That close quarters kind of brawling guns playstyle. Very enjoyable. Present broadside and let them have it. All right, let's start off with this ship that we see here from Drangest of Drangs. We're seeing this is the Spirit of Fire, 250 on the broadside here. Has a whole bunch of Pavises around the rest of the ship. Doesn't look like too much else on this. Just fairly straightforward device. Just pretty good at what it does. Does have a bulk mag. So that, Oh, no, it's got 2 magazines. It's got Citadel and a bulk mag. So this thing is bringing a lot of ammo. Wow. Expecting there to be a whole bunch of fighter craft. Maybe excessive ammo, maybe not. We'll see just how much this thing ends up using by the end of the game. I was wondering about that. Pairing it up with an Acello we see here. Plasma on the snoot of this thing, as well as some 450, maybe a bit of armor stripping. Probably not going to be the most effective, as you tend to need a good chunk of plasma. Also seeing pinards on the side of this to detect ships. Maybe our first creature of the night. All right, what else we got in the fleet? We got just a Bastion shuttle. Honestly, I actually kind of like it. It's a great device just to make it so fighters can't quite run up on you and you'll just flak them down. Very nice to see his escort. All right, joining them is going to be Mr. Dapper over here. Let's see what they got. I'm seeing a 100 mil Bulker here. Deadly device against fighter craft. Also some T-20s on this thing for added bang. Nice stuff there. We're seeing a C90 plus Talisman device. Hello. These are some interesting builds. All right, double mags on this thing to fit even more missiles and bombshells and stuff. C90s, Huntress, Adaptive Radar Receiver, and Yard Drive. No ammo elevators, unfortunately, to boost their fire rate, but still, that's a lot of missiles. And down below, we're going to see a C90 plus 2 plasma guns on this thing. Does it have any buffs? It has a light reactor, but no buff module. So not the highest rate of fire plasma, but still, we do see some things. We're seeing just from notes here, oh, that is a size 2 device. What do we got in this thing's payloads? We got a whole bunch of conventional size 2s, as well as some of those new, like, sort of reverse hybrids, the SDM Bowmans we're seeing there. That's going to be very nasty for any fighters. 48 of those things going to do some serious work. Lastly, rounding with the fleets, we're going to see Spy Eye coming down here with, looks like 100 mil Bulkers illumination. Didn't we have Spy Eye in the other game? I'm kind of surprised they actually double pulled them. All right, well, either way, Spy Eye gets to play again, so we get to see plasma on this as well, and then the 100 mil. Possibly they adjusted their ammo count. We noticed that they did run out of plasma rounds last game. 300's not the most, but it does cook ships pretty good there, so... All right, let's take a look around the board then. So CCAP is going off here. ECAP, they're migrating their way towards. Over on the ANS team, we're going to watch and see what this is. We're going to start with Benoit here, who has apparently got themselves a little Mark 62 chaff box and just some rebound. So nice little skirmishy, kind of like an anti-fighter craft. Pretty handy for just popping away at some of those ships there. Nice little device. This is leading the formation of the Axford here. Has a little skiff launcher on the backpack. Got some 450s.
Cat boy.
Dr. Blade Steel, thank you for the follow. Sir, you forgot your Mark 68 on the bottom, so we've got a double Mark 66 here. You should go for the bigger gun here. It's going to be interesting. Got a whole bunch of restores in this thing. 16 teams, 9 restores, and a lot of internals there. So, yeah, this thing is going to take a while to go down with all that damage control. Let's see, where's the rest of his fleet? We had, over here, we've got, yep, another one of those little gun capper corvette guys. And then lastly, rounding out stone walls with a size 2 missile bank. Yep, got some of those SDMs on top, nasty creatures. And then a little pop gun to defend itself at 250 there. It's bugged actually is 68 in the fleet hangar. Huh, that's interesting. Huh. All right, let's take a look around then. So we're seeing initial missiles go off here. Yep, Strikecraft have been detected as we're going to watch these SDMs quickly go out. So after some fighters were launched from one of these fleets, we're going to see actually some intercepts there go off. Okay, so there's some SDM lunges. Those are very expensive missiles, command guided. So those are 9 points of pop to deflect, I believe, a 4 or 5 point missile. Seeing the initial kind of popping off of the flak guns here, deflecting those fighter craft. Let's take a look at our top carrier player. We can see Atrocious down here. Ooh, look at that paint scheme. Oh, that is a beauty of a ship. The Of Martial build is going to be one of the starter fleets, Task Force Maple to be precise. You see it's got a pair of escorting ships along with it. These are going to be off on their own, projecting an 8-kilometer no-fly zone. Let's see what we got inside of this thing. I believe just pretty standard complement, right? You got 10 bombers so far. You got a couple of these CWACs that are deployed. Then just a nice complement of interceptors. Some of them already up in the air, as we see here. They've got some of their scouting devices going towards the top of the map, and then another one towards the bottom. Nice hemisphere coverage there, able to see what is coming towards them. A couple of these fighters kind of going on station, guarding the trenches, watching for anything that might be sneaking through there. We covered Benoit already. Let's go and see what Rocket has brought. Rocket has got the Audacious here. Ooh. Is there a naming convention going on? I mean, the Audacious. Oh, that is a good name for a ship right there. Let's take a look at this thing. It looks pretty standard inside of it, just kind of your conventionals, what you'd expect. Has a flight of bombers or so. Looks like we got a total of, let's see, there's 2 there, so 8 bombers on this thing. A couple of those CWACs as well. We see some nice area coverage. 2 types of Tantos here. We got C and G, so might be they're running the different types of nose guns on these things. We see a couple of them taken off right now. Let's see if we can get a check on that. I believe that is the coil gun, unless I'm mistaken. Let's see. Yep, 50 mil coil gun, so that's going to be a nasty device. Also, looks like they are equipped with 20 mil gun pods. Maybe a mixed flight in this. I think it's a mixed flight. Yeah, I think that's the conventional 20 mil coil gun. So mixed flight complement there. Nice to see. The coil gun plus the 20 mil is quite good. A couple more of those SDMs going off here, trying to pick off these kind of like outlying radar ships. If they get within range, this could be a big problem. They enter high maneuverability mode here. That said, these ships should be set to evade, so they will just end up moving out of the range here. Ooh, there's a missile trying to take out that one before it approaches, but I think they might be good on target. Let's see if these hit or not. No, running out of fuel. Good evasion there. Nicely done. All right, so that's the carrier fleet. We saw it had a little anti-craft device, a Sarissa brick, along with some of those S2 launchers on the bottom. Probably, yep, Typhoon cells. Those are quite popular. Sand shot and just a bit of chaff. And lastly, they had their little, we just called this what, a cringe capper? Yeah, a cringe capper, living up to the name, just minimal investment, able to get onto a point here. Finally, rounding us out, we've got good old Task Force Birch advancing across the top here. You see they're hung up a little bit now as they've kind of crested over with one. That does mean that they run into an Acello here, which is going to say something once it gets a shot put towards it. They're probably going to lock their guns and say, oh, you're firing at me, and then answer with 450. 450 a little bit bigger than those 250 guns. Is this a one-and-done event for this weekend? This is for the weekend, although we do run quite a few Nebulous events on the weekend, so we will try and see if I'm able to stream more of these, since I have got a great viewership tournament. I'm loving seeing all of you show up for these things. Nebulous is in a better state than ever. It is amazing seeing all the new people who have come in and the returning players experience. Ooh, bomber getting shot down there as we see them just kind of smoking. So, bit of an exchange, interestingly, going on here as both teams trying to fire their sort of like anti-craft missiles. And most of them just kind of either deflecting or getting shot into the rocks here. So maybe not the best expenditure, but at the same time, they are keeping each other on their toes and not able to advance or really position themselves aggressively. Both teams kind of going to ground here as we see against the rock here. There's just barely peeking over at this Axford. And in turn, there's going to be this Bulker that's just going to go into ground. Does not quite have the range it wants. So there we are. Monitor peaking at 8 point. Let's take a look over here. Yep, Hotspur in the trench here, just kind of migrating his way forward. Like we said, we love the trenches on Arroyo. You just have a look at the little overlay of these, so you get a route onto the 8 point there. You could also take the route along here, which I believe the Spirit of Fire is doing. Spirit of Fire not quite oriented correctly. It's kind of hugging against the rock there a little awkwardly, but if it can spin its guns around, it could say hello to anything that wants to walk down that trench, like say maybe that escorting frigate. Take a look. This is just Task Force Birch, which is just, you know, classic 250 triple Vox. So these guys are walking around the corner. They need to keep their nose towards enemy to avoid taking excessive amounts of damage, as Vauxhalls did get a armor nerf in the latest patch, so 450 is going to guaranteed bite through them. Let me see. Let me just catch up here on chat for a quick. Maybe done this weekend, but there may be more down the line. Yep, we're planning to do more events if we can line them up and stuff. It depends entirely who is available and what we want to see done for the various events and stuff. We might get themed events like we've had before, various events on the channel, like we had Submarine Night, where everyone gets one singular hull and no radars, and they have to try and figure out how to play that way. We've had things like Rocket Shuttle Night, where you get 10v10s in a lobby. Everyone has one rocket shuttle. You got to make your shots count. So lovely seeing some of the Nebulous, like, kind of custom game modes we put together just for fun. Yeah. All right, let's see. I think that's all stuff for chat, right? Yeah. If you do get, if you finish the match and you are still in the queue, just rejoin the main Discord event stage or the general channel there. They will sort you out, either Vastal or Lone Wolf. I believe that Vastal and Lone Wolf are both casting today, so I myself am just one of the casters, not really too coordinating of the events, but hey, we get to have some fun just looking at this. So anyways, neutral cap is going to be the A point here. Both teams just kind of jockeying for position, feeling each other out. They're trying to see what they want to go for. ANS kind of posturing high on this side, 3,000 points of CL, looking to make an aggressive push here. In turn, they've got a Acello that's kind of migrating itself a little bit back, realizes there's a bit more that it can chew here, decides it doesn't want to peek that quite yet. Could see that Voxel's group seen off by the Spirit of Fire and the Acello over here, the Newton's Revenge too. Depends how they want to position themselves. Neither team fully committing for it yet. ANS on a slight points lead here, so if nothing happens for the rest of the game, ANS will win, but that's a very long ways away. It's 1,000 points to win, so we're going to see how that goes. Just got out of the game. Love Zircon. Yeah, the new starter fleets, if anyone has not played them, load up the starter fleets. They are good. Starter fleets have always been good, but the new ones that have gotten themselves reworked and tuned for carrier patch feel really great. All right, we got a flight of torpedo bombers coming in here now, so we see that these guys have a torpedo complement hidden inside of the little launch bay here. There's going to be 4 torps in these dudes. We're going to see if they are going after these ships or not. Battle to Hell has flak, which is going to do a number against these bombers here. And I believe that there's quite a few Pavis across the top of this, which are very good against torpedoes. That said, 4 torps in short succession can be a bit of a threat. Let's see what they end up going towards. They might be going after the Acello. That's a bit of a mistake if they are. Maybe just jockeying for position and threatening here. A lot of the carrier play is actually threatening with your fighters and not actually engaging. Although what is engaging right now is a whole bunch of this 250 fire starting to bite into the Newton's Revenge here as it starts to take hits. See the internal stack of this thing starting to get dinged in the side. Plant control, magazine, and gun plotting, as well as the reactor starting to eat shots. 250 AP punches right through that armor. Plasma fired in returns. The 450 tries to turn to rotate. The ship needs to get its nose on there to the incoming fire so it can tank it with those very tough reinforced modules up front. Taking a look around the map, we can see that the dual carrier advantage that ANS currently has is starting to show. And, you know, now that I think about it, do they... Wait, hang on a second. I'm just looking at all these fleets. I don't think they have any Strikecraft. I think that OSB is just straight up saying, nah, we don't need no Strikecraft. We've got SDMs. Let's see if this works out for them or not, because ANS has a Strikecraft advantage just by default here. But does the OSP beef actually make up for it? There's quite a lot of missiles here on this ship that could do some serious plays once those fighters have to go back for fuel and stuff. So if they can get those cruise missiles into targets like the carriers, that could be a really big pickoff for them. It will depend entirely on their scouting and screening. Noticeably, there's not that much scouting on the OSP side. They're criminally lacking in detection assets such as the early warning radars or, you know, the new Strikecraft, which are quite good at what they do. Birdshot missiles going right into the ground there. We're going to see a couple of them also going after Duster Wing here, as looks like they're trying to maybe test the waters here. That's not what you want to run into, though. We got Thigh Highs, Stands the Skeleton, and Sensitive Femboy Fox here, all firing their flak guns into these wings of Katana. So, ooh, that is a lot of flak. They are starting to rotate over. T-30s you do have to manually assign, as they are not dual purpose, but, well, they still do the job. Let's just take a look here as I turn off this. Yeah, turn off the HUD and just watch as all of that flak is going to cake across this avenue. Yeah, they're down to one ship. They are not going to last very long. Flak does a nasty number. That is a serious screen. You cannot fly near that. This guy is dodging for all of his life, and unfortunately, it's not good enough, as that's going to be 4 fighters done and dusted. Worth noting that while ANS does have 2 carriers, they can't just be throwing fighters away like that. I believe in total, they only have... I want to say they've got 8 on board here, and if we take a look in terms of active flights, they've got 4 out there. So that's about 16 fighters that they have there. And then if we check the other one for Rocket here, we can see they have, let's see, 4 there, and a flight of 4 as well. Flight of 5 out here. So they do have the ability to do some stuff with Strikecraft, but they got to be real careful of sweeper assets like that. Old school air defense does in fact work there, as we have proven. Illuminator actually being used here to potentially get better radar returns. Nice. Good technical plays there. We're seeing a couple of bombers here escorted by a wing of fighters. That's the kind of coverage you want to see. These guys have themselves equipped with some lunge missiles. Very good at taking out fighter craft. Unfortunately, there's no fighter craft. So those 9-point lunge missiles, as they typically come in the price of, are going to be kind of a waste here. Seeing also the 100 mil, that's a proper name for the ship, the HMS Flak Off with its 100 mil guns, just deciding that no, you do not get to fly fighters at me. This thing is, wow, you can't, hang on, I have to quickly hide this for one moment. Look at the board on this thing. It is Bastions, it is T-20s, it is T-30. It is just mount, go, yes, brr, DACA, thank you. Oh man, that is a interesting little build right there. I might need to steal this myself. Maybe a few like Pavises in there just for mixed complements so you can deflect against things like bombs, like, yeah, because like bombs, torpedoes, you probably want to shred those. But at the same time, how do you get close with that much like 100 mil? Just have to wait till it runs out of ammo. So yeah, the fighters and bombers rightfully deciding that maybe we don't go to that area as they're going to just pull back on the map. Both teams kind of jockeying here for position. There's a couple of flights of bombers just lurking in the wings, waiting for targets of opportunity. That's the right way you want to play these things. Bombers and such, they can stay out for a little bit, but at the same time, you have to watch your flight time. Notice they have combat time of 2 minutes here, so they have to make sure they are not burning their fuel too much. See, their throttle is set to cruise right now, not the hard burn that makes them go super fast. Watch around the map, we see other things like these CWAX planes. These can stay basically out for the entire match, so you don't have to really worry about them. Just set them to evasive and you'll be fine. Yeah. Kind of a interesting moment now, as both teams have kind of shown their hands. ANS has shown that they have a lot of fighters. OSP has shown that they have a lot of fighter defense in the form of their capitals. So it's kind of an awkward point now, because ANS has invested quite a few of their points. Like if we take a look at these fighters here, right? They have lunge missiles that are really good against like fighter craft, but OSP doesn't have any of that. So now ANS has to decide, do we want to land our fighters and re-equip them with, say, a whole bunch of torpedoes and bombs and stuff, or anything else we can fit in those banks? Or are we just going to have to try and play in the capper warfare angle, where we just wait for you to, like, maybe walk one of your cappers forward, and then we try and jump on that with any of our torpedo bombers, and these guys just act as, like, a defensive screen, soaking up shots. So, interesting little things to happen. We see there's a little guy over here, just a cute little scouting CF. I believe that these only have 4-kilometer radar range on the ANS. Most of their awareness comes from these CWAC planes, which come from the escort carriers. So radar awareness-wise, OSP is pretty much off radar completely. Actually, OSP is off radar completely here. Managed to go to ground, hiding from these little light assets. Oh, there we go. The note ship here is going to ping the Black Freighter as it just kind of pops out briefly. I think it was the sundial over there spots it, or maybe this one. Hard to say exactly, as it is a very large target here. Does not have a radar drive, so it doesn't boost it at all, but still, they're just kind of keeping themselves in their deploy zone. Honestly, I'm a little worried for OSP here. They need to commit to a fight, and they need to do it at some point in this match. The question is, how long are they going to wait? Potentially, they could play and just wait out the entire clock until they hit just shy of 1,000 and then book it for the A point and try and keep that. Because, as we see here, if you get a little craft like this that happens to wander into the range of guns like this, you should see these things rotating onto a track now. So yeah, they do, in fact, see this one, right? Let's see, where's this on the board? Yep. No, is not detected. Oh, okay, never mind. Flak gonna go burr. The poor Harper here. Yep. It's still technically alive for the moment. It takes a lot of flak hits, but there's going to be even more of them as we all just get flashbanged by those. So, yeah, that ship is going to be probably going home in a ashtray.
Listen here, cat boy.
Julius the Coolius, welcome to the channel. We had Dr. Bladesteel follow as well. I'm not sure if I called you up, but hey, welcome to the channel as well. We love our Nebulous nonsense here. So, A point is being capped. The defenders are out of position, as unfortunately they do not have the sufficient radar detection to spot that little guy over here who's just being a sneaky little dude. He does have normal signature, which is kind of surprising. Ooh, you can even see the wake signature now. Look, the enemy secured zone. All the little details in this patch. I love it so much. Nebulous has never been in a better state. I'm just gonna flat out say it. Yeah, we can see the awash ice is now locked onto, unfortunately, too little too late, as these 100 mil bulkers are going to rotate over and say, oh, real shit, and just lock on with the 100 mil HE and kill that thing. But this means ANS now has a 3 cap. OSP has to send something to the A point, and they have to do it soon enough so they don't fall too far behind on caps if they're going to try and stay out. Ooh, that sundial is getting dusted pretty badly here. That is not good. This thing is an expensive asset, 75 or 100 points if you take the Elent module. We can't unfortunately tell which one has or not, but it is getting thoroughly shot up here. Maybe it can make it out of the engagement range. We'll find out. Is still detected, so there's going to be more 100 mil flak chasing after it. Is set to evade and try to juke these shots, but I think they might be deprived of sensor asset. Ooh, no, they go wide on that last spread. Does it get away? I think it's almost outside of the gun range of these guys. Can kind of get a sense of it there. Very low on health. Anyways, A point over here. The little Corvette that could does manage to do it. It is unfortunately drived as some of those shots came by and smacked it, so that's going to be a asset maybe deprived after we've spent about a third of the match just watching them both jockey for positions. Let's see. Some of these guys are unfortunately going to have to RTB. You see them just returning to base now because they, well, no, actually they did. Correction. They're not out of fuel. ANS is deciding that, hey, maybe we should return to base and re-equip ourselves. Different loadouts. We have to redesign our kind of engagement pattern. Might want to equip these guys with, say, bombs or something similar. Unfortunately, it does mean there's a couple pathfinding bugs on some of the maps here. These are modded maps, so they have not gotten updated yet. So occasionally fighters will kind of get stuck like this. I've noticed this a little bit on Arroyo, but they should retask in a second and figure out their way around this thing, or maybe it's just the player motioned them to go into this rock. I believe they were ordered RTB, so yeah. Arroyo must need to get a little bit of a tuning then. I saw this on one of my other streams where we had a skiff that got stuck, but that should be something that they can notice. If not, we will mention it to them, and that will be good. All right, bit of a testing missile volley out here now as some of these are going to go. Ooh, uh-oh. One of the players has disconnected, unfortunately. That is not great. That is a disconnect, not a intentional like surrendering or that, because we see one of these ships is still under control by, who's that? That would be Benoit over here has inherited that fleet, so they'll have to figure out how to play that. Luckily, it's a starter fleet, so you should be familiar with these. Unfortunately, these Voxels kind of doing the wrong engagement angle. They need to keep their bow towards enemy. Voxels very strong when they have their bow towards enemy and are able to use their strafing thrusters to bounce themselves around because they are incredibly evasive, especially after they've just gotten buffed this patch. That said, Task Force Birch decided to give ground here. The Acello is going to be jamming them out here for the moment. We're going to see if they're able to get shot or not. No, they've gotten behind cover here, so jamming is canceled there.
Wow, you have really nice balls.
Admiral Sky, thank you for the follow. And to you, I will say the song of my people. Anyways, this is the NekoboyBlue channel. We do silly shit here. I'm glad that, holy crap, there is so many of you here. Wow, this is a great turnout. I'm glad that you folks love watching Nebulous nonsense because I love casting it. Anyways, let's see. Sten's the skeleton and his little friends are over here hanging out, just chilling and doing that. A point is still in the hands of the ANS. Awash Ice does have a restore, so they could potentially get this thing back in the game. Might be playing possum, just trying to hide it here, though. Act as a little radar asset they think is dead just because it is unable to move. All right, so more of those Bowman missiles going out here. CMD and a Homon Jam Secondary. Not a great track. You see CMD hopping all over the place against this thing, trying to figure out where it's going to be. So potentially might get close enough, might not. It's trying to lead its target, but having a rough go at it. I think that this Sundial will get out of range. Yep, so Sundials detecting that shot from about 8 kilometers or so, they just burn in reverse, and then they decide to get themselves out of danger. We should see this thing go back to cruise instead of hard burn, so it'll keep its fuel good. It's only got about 2 minutes of combat time, but once it goes back to regular, it should be okay. Yeah. See, maybe a replacement for it. This one might be returning to base. We'll find out. Yep. Still on hard burner. So these guys, though, they have enough time to just kind of be chilling here. So yeah, you can see their bingo fuel time versus their combat time. So it does change up depending what you are doing. These guys just kind of idling their throttle. Yeah, they can sit here for 15 minutes. They're fine. All right. I was expecting a bloodbath, and instead we're having both players, or I say both players, but both sides be very passive and kind of defensive. They know that there's a lot of threats that could be waiting for them out there. They have to decide where do they want to push and when do they want to do it. ANS is pulling ahead now, 480 to 420 points as the tick just goes through there. So the question is, what are they going to do about it? OSP has the tools to do some violence. So the question is, will they start committing before or after they have hit like the 700 or 800 point? Because one strategy is if the A point keeps neutral like that, you can just wait out to the very end and then make that sudden blitz for the A point, because that would be your one neutral as both teams have a 2 cap. That said, that is a very risky strategy as your opponent could do the exact same thing and then you end up on a neutral cap. And since the ANS is in the lead right now, they might end up just holding that cap and then you will lose out on points. So for the OSP side, we take a look over here. We're going to see a couple of shots going off now. Axford has peeked out of cover. It is taking a couple testing shots over here, trying to hit against these little... Ooh, that's a torpedo strike, actually. Ooh, big damage done to this thing. T-30s are getting knocked out, along with a bunch of those lockers. Wow, yeah, okay, big torpedo hits on this thing. Fortunately, does not look like there's enough point defense on these, if there is any at all. You know, I'm just looking at it. I don't think these things have a single point defense turret on them. They're relying strictly on those flak guns to take out incomings before they launch. And yeah, they've just got these Talisman ward launchers. And I believe that they are out. Yes, they have used all of their STM-2s. So what you see is what you got. SGM-1s in this. I guess that those saw, but I'm guessing those are AMMs meant to counter closer range threats like missiles. Anyways, there's a bunch of bombers and fighters loitering around here, and Plasma is going to start coming in here. So bit of a crossfire as there's the potential that this ship could end up aggressing onto this thing's flank. Plasma does burn off there as it's just outside the maximum effective range. 450 is targeting the ship that is hiding behind the cover there. That's the highest where Sensitive Femboy and stands the skeleton over here is starting to try and walk forwards. So OSP decided to grow themselves a pair and push onto that B point, seeing if they can't get aggressive here. Might do some big old violence on that angle. We'll see what the rest of their team is doing. Currently, looks like they've gone to ground in the trench, trying to hide and play maybe a little bit too passively here. Normally, you see blue players play very aggressively, but I think that because they know the situation, that they know the enemy has quite a few assets that they are not quite familiar with, especially because they don't have a lot of scouting in this fleet, they're going to play it very defensively until they can be sure that there's a point that they can aggress into, and then they're going to absolutely go balls to the walls and hammer into them. Seeing Plasma now starting to do work here. Yeah, so Plasma damage is unrepairable. That's the word. I was going to say undoable, but that's not right. It's undoable, which is just a wonderful little combo of words. Anyways, Plasma cooks off the Axford's armor here as we watch this thing's nose just starting to get blasted. That armor plating is heavily degraded now as these Plasma shots start to just cook away at it. You can see the lovely little smoking internals there. It's not a big deal until suddenly that 100 mil follows up and then absolutely clobbers you. 100 mil high explosive capped, or HEHC for short, is very effective against ships with low armor, specifically those hit by Plasma, because you can just take off all the defenses of a very strong capital that pays for that plating. Speaking of Plasma, we're seeing the lone Plasma monitor down here, just the two little guns on the top and bottom, as well as the C-90, starting to pop away at the little wounded Corvette that managed to cap the 8-point. It's slowly drifting away. Its VLS is damaged, as is the drive. You can lose the VLS, but if you lose that drive, you are going to be in a world of hurt. 450 largely overpanning, and Plasma not super effective here. Only like 8 centimeters or so of armor on these little guys, so not really going to do too much in that regard. Take a look around the battle space then as this kind of continues on. That will do something though. 100 mil is, no, 250 is going to open up on the broadside of this thing. Let's take a look at this as we just watch over here. Ooh, yep, that is going to be quite a few of those finding purchase. A couple of them do appear to be overpenning, but that's mostly a visual bug. I just believe that's a desync. Yeah, I can see the drive here heavily wounded. I think, actually, no, a couple of those must have overpenned because this thing should have died otherwise. But yeah, good damage done. That drive soaks up quite a few of those hits. Antenna is down, radar panels as well, and also the main thruster, which tends to go down. Very large hitbox on that. The ship is waiting to be tax collected. Surprisingly, at this stage of the game, nobody's lost a ship. We are over halfway through the game, and both teams just kind of, I don't want to say playing overly passive, but just very much kind of waiting and being a little bit unsure of themselves. We see some position fire going on over here. Maybe an error, or maybe just trying to cycle. Okay, not sure what that was all about. Maybe there's a fighter there or something we missed. Hello, Flint. Nice to see you. We are casting some Nekoboy Nebulous nonsense, the special weekend kind, because we are doing an event for Nebulous. This is on one of the special switchback servers we opened up, so we're going to see just what kind of carrier players we can do. This is a blue-on-blue lobby, so we get to see what new players bring to the match, and so far, it's been passive, but at the same time, there's a lot of potential for things that could go down. This is a size 2 Acello that has not fired, I don't think, any of its missiles. No, it's fired 1 or 2 of them, just little test fires, but it's holding off until it gets a good target. We're seeing over here, unfortunately, V307 had disconnected from the game. I think their internet cut out or something, so that's a bit of a sad point, but still, Task Force Birch doing a little bit of testing of the waters, and in turn, the Acello is going to say something about it. Here comes the first command missile strike of the game. That is going to be some nice size 2s heading out in the water, more surely to be programmed. Yep, we're seeing a whole bunch of them. Mixed Missile Salvo is the name of the game. All right. Is Birch going to take it or not? Let's find out. Birch starting to pop their decoys and move into cover here. Looks like these are probably going to get Rock-Duelist. Rock is, in fact, the best PD. Yeah, it looks like the CWIS guns on the side of this thing, the Defender's just starting to shoot all these things, but unfortunately does not look like they're going to get hits on target. A couple of these are going to go off to the side as well. Actually, they're targeting over on the Proven Factor. Home on jam, potentially, on this thing. Does this have a jammer? It has an interrupt jammer and a blanket that just went on cooldown. Probably unintentional that went on cooldown, but at the same time, hey, it does seduce a couple of those, so they just need to turn their comms jammer back up, identify the threat, and then deal with it accordingly. They do manage to deflect that salvo at basically no loss besides a bit of point defense ammo. Over here, the Hotspur, the little plasma guy that could, is migrating himself onto the A-point. He's going to try and flip this thing. It is 300 points or so to win for the ANS, about, what do we call that now? That would be 440 points to win for the OSP, so they need to flip that point and hold on to it for a bit. The Flak Off over here is living up to its name, as once again, flak rounds are flying. All the little fighters that the ANS brought are having a bad time. That said, here comes a flight. Vampire is the name. Do these guys have any bombs? Yes, there go the bombs. Unguided bombs are good. Let's see if they are good enough to hit this thing. Flak guns are continuing to pepper away at him and does manage to deflect that incoming strike. So the Monitor will live, as unfortunately the fighter bombers here only have, I think it's 1, maybe 2 bombs in their payload. Not a whole lot there, so also seeing some of those SDM missiles chasing after them. OSP electing to go absolutely no craft and just seeing if they can make a play out of it. bringing all of these 100 mil flat guns in. Honestly, I kind of respect them for it in the age of carrier, just seeing if they can take it without it. All right, that Vampire Flight joined by a couple more. Here comes some, yeah, Chieftain Flight coming in here. A couple Claymores with some torpedoes might do something different. Noticeably, this has flak, not defenders, which you want against those torpedoes. Well, I guess Pavis because it's the OSP, but still, here comes 4 torpedoes. Nice little deployment there. Just flicks it right around the corner and then sends it, and that is going to be a very wounded ship. Unfortunately, due to damage raise and damage reduction, it is not quite enough to knock this ship out. The drive and the CIC do still live, as well as the magazine and civilian reactor. That said, there goes the workshop, there goes the storage, and the flak guns as well. Plasma cannon goes down. Still, it is enough for the ship to cap the point, but they did pay for it there. Chieftain Flight is just going to head back to the base. They're going to rearm themselves with carrying torpedoes or bombs and see what we get. Whew. Yeah. Rock best PD? Yep, agreed. Also, Corey, thank you for showing up. We have some new emotes on the channel. So those of you who want to support the channel, you can subscribe either with Amazon Prime, I believe it gets you that. Amazon, Twitch Prime, I forget how that's linked up exactly. Or you can pay the whatever amount per month. It helps out the channel quite a bit, and it gets you access to those lovely little dancing pikes that we got just for this carrier update. All right, 250 is cycling here. 250 is quite dangerous as these ships are both in range of each other. While the ANS might have the ability to dodge quite a bit with the Birch forces if they keep their nose on the enemy and are constantly juking and stuff, these guys are moving fairly slowly, so it's going to be a case of if this ship opens up with its big C-56 broadside, what is going to happen?
Wow, you have really nice balls.
Eternal Soldat, thank you for the subscribble. Why don't you show off those new animated emotes you just got yourself access to as we watch some well, de-animation of this Vauxhall, as a couple of those HE rounds going to be biting into it shortly. There we go, getting some pepper into the front of this thing. Thruster 17, my beloved, is just going to be blasted off the front of the ship, so it's going to reverse much slower. Still does manage to throw out pretty well, has a nice little reinforced snoot, aux steering, and a reinforced locker. Does manage to soak a bit of damage here. Has a scryer, which is a relatively tanky module, all things considered, for the price point of only 10 points. All right. Ooh, Proven Factor managed to actually make its way over here. Missed this migration. It looks like it paid for it dearly. Probably that was the first salvo of 250 from the Spirit of Fire there. Thruster 17, strongest ANS soldier. Yeah, Thruster 17 just getting booped in the snoot every single game that a little Vauxhall tries to run itself through. Jammers are being deployed as it looks like the one stone over here, maybe not having the best of time. Looks like it's peppered a little bit, but not a lot of damage inflicted on that. So it does have, it's taking hits clearly on the armor plating, but none of those appear to be penning through. So might be just firing the HE rounds. I think that they'll struggle a little bit against the armor of the monitors because they've got like 48 centimeters. All right, ANS trying that same trick again. We got another flight of Claymores, this time with bombs. Let's see if they can skirt themselves around the corner here and inflict themselves upon the Hotspur. Hotspur has a working drive, so maybe it can get out of the way. It does have the potential. Are they paying attention, though, is the question. Bombers have locked on. Bombs are away on one of them. Let's see if the other one locks on and fires or not. It's firing any second now. There we go. Bomb bays open. Woo! All right, that's going to be the drive knocked out of this thing, and that is, oh, structure break. Hello, that is a ship that is gone. Goes to show why you got to stay in motion. Those stationary bombs are, well, the bombs are good against stationary targets like that. Yeah, if you have a sandbag ship, put the nail in the coffin with those bombs. We saw just 2 bombers manage to collect a kill on a very, very valuable ship here for the OSP because plasma is not something they have an excessive amount of, and they got a whole bunch of 100 mil they want a really tin can opener on these guys with. Inferno Flight coming down here. They got some torpedo truncheons. I'm not sure if they know the ship is dead yet. They might call these guys back, or they might go for a different attack path. Will depend on the situation. Points are kind of equaling out here. So this is actually a very interesting point to make because OSP is slightly above 700 here. ANS is exactly on the 800 mark here. Technically, if nothing changes, OSP will win this game with the current cap situation. So ANS needs to recognize this and needs to plan how they're going to make a play to flip one of those cap points before it's too late. All right, seeing some STMs going after these bombers here. They're trying like hell to dodge. Unfortunately, these trenches are not affording them the best maneuverability, but the missiles are also getting a little confused there, so they do manage to get out of dodge. Lucky break for them, as that could have been big news if the Black Freighter up here got a good lock and then smacked them with those. Inferno Flight is managed to keep themselves alive here and probably just head back into the trenches and stay low. All right, looks like Proven Factor over here has had a bad time. We see this Ocello has been thoroughly sandblasted across the front, kind of looking like a kitchen sponge here with that green and that yellow color scheme. That said, in terms of effective damage, not much. Double mount gyro in this thing with those Pavises, so they are playing super maneuverability, trying to take out any incoming threats. The only scouting actually for this is that Ocello with 2 pinards. That's not something I say very often. Alrighty, let's see what we got here. All right, here comes some SGMs. Okay, SGM's going against a little not a Corvette, a little Sarissa brick here. Some of them actually going to find their way home. Not enough Sarissa, unfortunately. Yeah, these things are going to get a reactor crit inflicted upon them. And more to follow it up. This might be a kill. Ooh, yep. The lasso is gone. It has been smoked. That basic CIC, not enough to survive those incoming missile hits. Same with the rest of the ship, as it turns out. So, surprisingly, not that much blood this game, but a lot of jockeying for positioning. Both teams playing very passively, not wanting to overextend themselves and die on camera, I'm guessing. So, that said, we are seeing the proven factor is biting it here. The, what was it? Wait, hang on. This thing's still alive? Holy shit, it's still alive. How? The large lockers, the heroes, it is able to restore its CIC. It's able to get its large storage up. This ship could actually live. They can bring on their reactors. They can bring on their magazine and stuff. Color me impressed. Wow. The little monitor that could. I know we've said little a lot this game, but damn. All right, here comes another flight. The blind fires just kind of coming in here. Also, the boxers just direct command. So that is overkilling a ship. You should be able to see these life pods ejecting here. Those eject 30 seconds after the ship is killed. Reactor bloom be upon ye 60 seconds until that thing goes off there. Seeing the 100 mil bulkers starting to push up towards B point, trying to secure themselves a win here because time is rapidly running out. Like, if OSP takes this cap, then what does ANS do? How do you dislodge 3 of these 100 mil bulkers in time to get yourself back that cap? ANS needs to make a play like right now. OSP was sitting back passively for most of the game. They waited till this last kind of stage. Now they're making their big play, as we're going to see over here, Mr. Spy Eye coming around here. Plasma is opening up. Hello. Woo, look at all of that purple burp. Lovely violet violence inflicted upon this ship. What is this? This is the, can't see it. Hang on, let me flip the camera over. That is the Shoe of Gisela, I believe it is called, on the side there. And yeah, the entire front has now been thoroughly plasmaed, so this is going to mean all those 100 mil HEHC rounds are going to bite into these juicy compartments. Looking at these reinforced lockers in the front, they will take a hit, but these large lockers here are kind of squishy, so they might go down. So it's taking it like a champ, all things considered, holding the front. There's that reactor bloom we were talking about. Ooh, cover your eyes, put on your sunglasses. Woo! DC team's 3D printing a new monitor at this point. Honestly, yeah. Oh, no, the monitor. What happened to it? Oh, it must have gotten killed by a flight of bombers while we were not looking. I think that was Chieftain Flight. Yeah, Chieftain Flight coming back with the bombs, deciding that, no, you are not going to live through this one. Despite the heroic efforts of the DC teams, all of that is unfortunately for naught, as despite having restored most of their systems, they stayed stationary a little too long there and just could not get it back in time. Here comes the point flip trying to be made by ANS as the, the gap fare is going to be migrating onto point. Just a little naked cringe capper is the term. That said, though, if OSP sits on B point like they're doing, as long as they don't walk off it, right? Oh, no, they're walking off it. They're getting too greedy and going for the kills. Ooh, that could be a reversal. ANS, only 100 points for them to win. OSP needs 140 or so. This is pretty close. They need to sit on that B cap and recognize situation. They're getting too greedy chasing after the kills here. That could come back and bite them. Surprisingly down to the wire here, as both teams just playing very passively and defensively, but at the same time, a lot of it jockeying for position, deciding what they want to do. Missile strike is out in the water. Like I said, that last little bit of the dev match is where everyone just goes into sprint mode. It is a marathon, not a sprint, but when you get to this last little like quarter or last fifth, however you want to say it, this is where everyone just goes rapidly trying to say, okay, how do we eke out a win from this one? We need to get on points. Bulkers are walking off that B point. They didn't cap it in time. ANS going to flip this into a 3-cap situation here, as A point here is going to go into their hands, and they're going to rapidly fill up their points. OSP kind of throwing it. They need to get on those points. They didn't recognize the situation. Too greedy chasing the kills. It's a delicious bulker target, but man, remember, it's the points. 1K to win it. You got to recognize the situation. Oh no. Hank, no, the B point, Hank. All these missiles going down now after the even rod down here had gotten blasted in the backside. Yeah, reactor and the drive here are going to cook off and such. I think this ship's just going to die once it gets structure broken by these, right? Yeah, there you go. That is a complete kill on this thing. Takes out the CIC and all the other guns. That said, though, ANS going to secure it. I don't think there's enough time. No, the 100 mil... No, yeah, the 100 mil bulker not in position to deflect that. And that 3-cap is going to spell it out. OSP had it absolutely in the bag. They just need to defend their points on A side and cap B. But no, unfortunately, too greedy, chasing the kills, selecting the violence. That's going to be it. That's going to be an ANS victory. They don't have time to cap. 50 points to win for the ANS. After this next tick, it's going to be 98 for the OSP to win. OSP absolutely could have taken it, but unfortunately, just a little bit of tactical error that the last second is going to spell disaster. Speaking of disaster, let's see. Broadsword flight coming in here. They've got unguided bombs. These ships are in motion, but are they fast enough? We're going to see yes, no, maybe so. Broadsword flight is going to get opened up by some of these flat guns. A couple of them taking damage there. There we go. Bombs out on target. Going to be moving this way. Auroras, though. The hero. The black freighter over here with its Auroras. Zapping away those bombs. Do they deflect it? Yes, the Ocello said, get down, Mr. President, as the Bulker is protected by its resident Ocello. 3-kilometer no-go zone with those Auroras. Here comes Heartbreak Flight. They're going to be trying to unleash their own complement of bombs, but the flag is now onto target. Let's see, are the Auroras in range again? Can they deflect these ones? Might be just out of it. See if they get bomb impacts or not. These are going to find their way home. Ooh, yeah, thigh highs. 2 bomb hits there, just tearing this thing's internals apart. Wow. No restores left on that, and a reactor bloom for good measure from that frigate. That does mean that this Axerid is dead as well. Yeah. At the same time, though, it's about the caps. It's not about the kills. Gotta remember that at the very end of the game, they're trying to take the A point. They are taking the B point, but no, it's too little, too late. They did not pay attention to the timers. That is going to be an ANS victory. Whoo! This has been a game and a half, and just wait for those last final ticks. With the 1 cap that they have, the D point, it is uncontestable. There's nothing in range for it, even with the timers here. Remember, until you've finally capped the point, it still contributes points to the enemy team. 998 to 938. OSP could have absolutely taken it, but no, a slight tactical error there. Going to be GG's. That's going to be GG. Well played. Remarkable number of ships still alive at the very end, but the OSP decided, no, your fleet is going to die as they go for that last quarter for the push there. All right. Woo! That has been a game. All right, we're going to export that battle report and save things. Yeah, there we are. Okay.